Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Under Construction and LH Broadcasting. And I am so glad that you have joined me on tonight. I was really grooving with the music, so I forgot what was getting ready to happen because I was grooving with the music that was going on. But welcome to the show. Again, I'm your host, Pastor Steve, and I am really excited to be sharing with you on this evening. So I know, hey, it's a pleasure for me to have you to join. I know you've had a busy schedule today, but yet you're taking out of your time to come and be with me. And I am really grateful for that. I want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people, Dr. Andrea Hines and Mr. Allen, for all of their hard work here and getting us prepared for this show on tonight. They have been my wing people and have got me together. So I am very grateful for them as well too. So again, I'm your host, Pastor Steve. We're going to have a relaxed evening. We're going to share a little bit about what the show is all about, give you an idea of what's going to be upcoming in the couple of months and in the future. And so, yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit and share with you what's going on. So again, Pastor Steve here. And let me just give you a little bit about who I am for those that may not know who I am. I am currently here, of course, in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. Have been here going on 32 years with my beautiful wife, Pastor Valerie, who I love dearly. She's my queen. And listen, don't get me talking about her, because if I start talking about her, we will flip the show. It's not going to be about men anymore. It's going to be about her. But no, seriously, I love her. She is my ride or die. Again, we've relocated here some 32 years ago. We're both from St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, the Show Me State. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Show Me State. Beautiful city, wonderful place, but God relocated us here. And listen, as we're starting to talk about under construction and talking about men, what God did 32 years ago in my life, and this is my testimony, is he pulled an Abraham on me, man. Very quickly, God relocated me here, got me away from my kinfolks and all of my comfortable surroundings so that he could get me here and talk to me and have my attention. And he called forth the king that was in me. And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit. That's what under construction is about. It's about the king that is in us that will be brought forth. Amen. And so, yeah, that was awesome. So I have 3 beautiful children. I have 10 awesome grandchildren. Yeah, you heard it right. Quiver was full. 10 great grandchildren that I love dearly and that are just amazing. And they love their granddad. Papa. There's Papa. Yeah. I guess that's what the gray is all about a little bit. It's about Papa. But yeah, so we're excited. Thank you, Miss Victoria, for being on tonight. I love you and thank you for your wonderful support. You're a great woman of God. And of course, Dr. Andrea Hines, the one and only, if you don't know her, you've got to follow this great woman of God. My friend, Miss Donna Cooper, is on. And so thank you guys for your love and thank you for your support. The good pastor is on. That's what I call Dr. Kevin Little, the good pastor. This is a preaching machine, man. I tell you what, I love this guy. And you're going to see some of these people on because I want you to understand that this show it's not just about and for men. So we're going to do some things with the ladies. And so ladies, I want you to feel comfortable by joining the show because we're going to have some things that we're going to be talking about as well, too. So with that in mind, let's kind of talk about, so how did all this come about with me? A couple of years ago, I started an organization called Kingdom Fellowship. And God laid it on my heart. I've always had this desire to help shape and to mold men. A great man of God told me this once before. He says, you become what you need. Wow, that's powerful, isn't it? So you become what you need. And so I needed this when I was coming up. I needed a man to shape my life and to sharpen my life. And I had great people in my life, but I didn't have that personal touch. So I started what was called Kingdom Fellowship. And Kingdom Fellowship was just that. It was a fellowship where men had a safe place to come in. You hear that, men, brothers? We had a safe place to come in and we could talk and we could share. So I called it was like barbershop talk. Ladies, y'all get into the salon. You know what I'm talking about. So it was barbershop talk where we could just kind of come in, we could share and not be, judged and opinionated and all those good things like that. And so I started that and it was just great. And so we had a great time. Is that my wonderful wife on? Yes. Oh, someone is saying hello to both of us. Okay, I thought my wife had intervened. See, that's how I get distracted with that woman of God. But anyway, so yeah, I started Kingdom Fellowship, and it was just that. It was a fellowship again where men can come in. It was a safe place to sharpen men, to shape men, to mold us, and to just to remind us who we are in the kingdom, you know. And so one of the things I want to share with you is who is invited into under constructions. Who is this for? So this is for kings. This is for those that are called kings. Know that they are kings. Know that they should be. They desire to be. It's for those that are raising kings. So hey, listen, if you are a single mother or you are a wife with just young teenage boys, young boys, grown men actually, then this show is going to be for you. If you are married to a king, hey, this show is for you. Ladies, trust me, all women want to be married to a king. And the lady says, amen. Because kings are priests. They are protectors, providers of their home, priests, protectors, and providers. Man, that's powerful, of their home. So what that means, that just simply means they know what their roles are, you know, and they follow the pattern. Sometimes we just have to have a pattern, but if you've never been given that pattern, then you don't know what you're following. So it's going to show. The fellowship gives us that. First thing I would say, if we started talking about under construction to the brothers, is first thing to know is that it's a process. It is a process. You don't have to deal with this overnight. It doesn't come overnight. I was telling someone the other day that, you know, I've got 25 years of ministry under my belt. And so this young man is just kind of starting out on this journey. And I encouraged him, don't try to put 2 years into a 25 year, into a 30 year, into a 40 year. Give yourself time to go through your process. But during that process, we do need to see growth, right? There should be growth. If I'm planting seeds and I'm watering those seeds, every once in a while, I want to go out there and see that that plant is growing or that tree is growing. So that's what under construction is. It's talking about starting a foundation somewhere. Everything has to have a foundation, right? And so we start with a foundation. And so this is to bring awareness to men of who they are. That they are royalty. Somebody say royalty. Yeah, that men, you are royalty. You have been cut from a different cloth, if you will, because you represent a different king, the kind of a kingdom. So you are in a kingdom. You represent the king. The scripture even tells us that we are made in God's image. How about that? Man, that's powerful all by itself. So we are made in God's image. We're made in God's likeness. So we are to have authority. We are to rule. Now, be careful with that authority. Don't take it too far out of character there. That doesn't mean that we walk around and you know, we beat our chests and we're, you know, no, it just means that we know who we are. We know how to submit. We talked about that on Elder Hines' show not long ago. Men, even though we are men of authority, we know how to submit. That's a term that is used lightly these days, because I know that a lot of women in marriage want that taken out of the vows. And I'm saying leave it there, because women, you are not obligated to submit to a man if he's not submitted to God. Uh-oh, I'm starting trouble already, aren't I? But yeah, kings, hear me good. If we are not submitted to God, then they're not obligated to submit under that. So we submit first to God, and then the ladies submit to us. But what that means is we become a team. So listen, I'm not going to chase that rabbit. That's going to be for another time. But that gives you an idea of what the shows are going to be about. We will talk marriage. We will talk covenant. We will talk what it. If my wife was in here now, she would tell you that some 25 years ago, when God started really calling me into ministry, man, and I was running like road runner. Well, I had her on my side. She was praying for me. She had these little women praying for me. They were like, Lord, save this man. Get this man to stop running so that you can speak into this man's life. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get men to understand that as a representative of the king, your purpose is much higher than merely your own. So, you know, we're brought with a price, man. As you know, we're brought with a price. What is that price? The blood has been shed for us, that we may become heirs and joint heirs to God's kingdom. So we're cut from a mere cloth. As kingdom man, is much more to you than you even know, maybe even realize. I think sometimes the problem that we have with men in trying to become into their kingship is that no one told us. No one told us who we were. No one told us that we were royalty. No one told us that we were priests. No one told us about what our roles should be. I come from a very large family. There is actually 5 generations of us. And so a very large family. Unfortunately, my father passed when I was very young. I think I was 6 when my dad passed. So my mom raised me along with 7 other boys. And so she did the very best that she could. One thing that my mom would always tell me is that you can be whatever you want to be. The sky's the limit in your life. Be what you want to be. But yet there was no one there to really shape me and mold me into the man that I desire to become. My son is visiting here with me this weekend, and I'm honored to have him with me. And I've already begun to shape his life. From a teenage year, I began to shape his life. Now he's an adult, but I am still shaping his life and molding him and telling him who he is in the kingdom. We talk about this all the time, about his royalty and about who he is and what I want him to become. Christina Harrison, good evening to you, woman of God. I appreciate you being on tonight. And so we have to tell our sons who they are. If we don't tell them, the world will tell them. If we don't tell them, the gang members will tell them, the school system will tell them. So I think it's my responsibility to tell them who they are. So again, the objective of this program is to simply begin to tell men who they are, make them aware of who they are and who they can become. But we have to set an atmosphere that's conducive for people to change. I think that's one of the things that we lack is we never make the atmosphere or the climate conducive for people to come in and to change. Change is inevitable, and people are going to change. I tell people that all the time, particularly couples, that have been married, and they're like, well, I didn't marry him for this, or I didn't marry her for this. And you're absolutely right, because they are changing, they are evolving, and we have to evolve together. So we have to give men time to change, and we have to stop declaring negative over them, telling our sons that, hey, you're like your dad, or you're going to be just like your dad, or you're going to be this, or hey, listen, words frame our world, don't they? And so we can declare a thing and it can be established unto us. So when we start talking about to our young men and our men and telling them what they are in a negative connotation, then guess what? Don't be alarmed when they become what you are declaring over their life. But I guarantee you, if you speak positivity to them, they will become that as well too. So we have to realize that men are shaped by our words. And men sometimes get a bad rap. We think that all of them are alike, and I hate to hear that terminology because we are not. But we are in a culture where people want to put us into a box. And so under construction, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about the fact that we have to give men that opportunity to change, to grow, and to give them lessons on how to grow. So how do we grow? When I think about construction, and I'm not going to give you all of it in one show here. I'm going to give you just enough that you're going to come back for the next show. But today, I just wanted to lay a foundation. We're going to have some wonderful guests coming on in the future. You're going to be amazed at some of these great men that will be on the show and ladies that will come and be on our show. But I think we have to, again, make sure that when you start talking about construction, the first thing that I think about when we're talking about under construction, and I get the vision of this construction site, the first thing that pops into my mind is in order to do that, to start a construction, the first thing you have to do is you have to go survey the land, right? But if I've got any builders or anybody that knows that, you go survey the land to make sure that it's effective enough for you to put on whatever you're going to put on there. So I think the beginning of our process is we have to survey ourselves. And the scripture that comes to mind is, let a man examine himself. So examine ourselves and be honest with ourselves. That was one of the things in my life years ago that I had to do. I had to be honest with who I am, where my weaknesses are, and what my strengths are. Did you hit that? Did you catch that? I had to realize and remember what my weaknesses are, and I had to remember what my strengths are. I also had to come under the realization that there are some weaknesses that will never be strengths in my life. So I don't hone on those. I don't put the focus on those. I put the focus on what my strengths are. And I polish, if you will, for lack of a better word, I polish my strengths, right? So don't focus so much on what weaknesses are. There's going to be times of things that you can strengthen, but there's going to be some things that you will not be able to strengthen, but you can work on those strengths and polish those and make those become what you want them to be. So when I looked up the word, I took the liberty of looking up the word kingdom in the Greek. The word kingdom in the Greek is basileia, and it means authority. It means to rule. Did you catch that? So it means that we have authority. I often tell brothers when we were dealing with my fellowship that you have authority. So what is it that you are allowing to have authority over you? If you've been given the authority, men, and you have been, then and ladies, but men, if you've been given authority, then what is it that we are allowing to take authority over us? If I have authority, why do I let a bottle have authority over me? You know what I'm talking about. If I've been given authority, why do I let a rolled up cigarette have authority over me? If I've been given authority, why do I let pornography have authority over my life? So we got to remember, and we got to take back our authority and stop giving away your authority, man. We're giving away our authority. So the style of this program is going to be very unique. It's not going to be your norm. Like I said, we're going to have some great guests on, and we're going to talk anything from leadership to finances to relationships to sonship to, you saw the words rolling across as you were coming on. So there's going to be a plethora of things that we will be discussing. So the program is to bring awareness to your kingship by the testimony and experiences of others. So those that we will have on the show, we will hear testimonies, and we will hear of how they had to overcome and how they had to thrive to become who they are. So that's going to be our objective there. Men need to be able to speak into the lives of other men. I am so grateful that I have some awesome men in my life that will speak to the man, the king that is in me. I have men that will challenge me. I have men that will hold me accountable. And I think that's another key word there, accountability. We sometimes don't want to be held accountable. We think that we can just do what we want to do, how we want to do, and no one says anything about it. But I'm grateful in my life that I have men. Listen, I've got men that will call me and say, hey, what are you reading? What are you reading? Tell me the book you're reading. And if I'm not reading anything, they will suggest books. My library is amazing right now. I've got books in there I haven't even read yet, because I've got people that will always hit me up and tell me, read this, and have you read that? And have you read that? And I've got men that will call me and say, hey, what is the Lord saying to you? And they don't want to hear me like, nothing right now. No, that is, I heard Bishop Jake say something so powerful one time. He said he called up a friend of his, and he picked up the phone, and Bishop Jake said, hey, man, what's going on? He says, nothing. Bishop Jake said he hung up. He says, I don't want to talk to people that's doing nothing. So I don't like being around people doing nothing. So that means we've got to have a vision. That means we've got to have a plan. So I want to speak to men. Men need men to speak into their lives. It's the Elijah syndrome. That's what that is. We have to make sure that we're passing on our mantle. Oh man, that is good. We have to make sure that we're passing on our mantle. The Elijah. I'm going to have my son on real soon. His name is Stephen as well too. And that is bone of mine. He's breed from me, man. He's cut from the same cloth. Me and this guy. It's amazing how much that of me is in this guy. But he's my son, and so it should be that way. But so we're talking all the time. And again, he's going to come and he's going to share with us on one of our shows about what it means to have an Elijah in your life and what it means to be able to catch the mantle that is going to be dropped from his dad. And yeah, I'm his dad, and I'm going to make sure that there is a mantle. So we also have to make sure that we are reproducing. Yeah. So men sharpening, iron sharpens iron, but we have to reproduce and to make sure. That's what's really going on in our world now. We don't have enough men, particularly in our culture, African American men, that's reproducing. So we are losing. We're at a deficit because we're not reproducing. Somebody say that, reproducing. So God moves. What I've come to find out is that God moves things for kingdom men. God is on our side. Man, when you stand as a kingdom man, God stands with us. Oh yeah. A kingdom man, he's never alone. He's never fighting a battle by himself, but God stands with him. And that has always been my prayer every day as I wake up and I realize I'm in this world. I'm like, God, whatever I do today, I can do it if you are with me and if you are standing with me, if you are going ahead of me today and giving me good success. That is always my prayer. And guess what? I'm dropping that nugget onto my son. I'm reminding him every day, we have to let God take the lead in our life. Proverbs says this: a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord determines his step. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord determines his step. So again, this program is to bring awareness to your kingship. It's to bring, and it's, again, we have different styles. Everybody have a different style. I have a different style. And that's another key nugget. Man, it's okay to be who you are. I am wonderfully and fearfully made in the image of God. I am the best Steve that God has made. That's not arrogance. That's not being puffed up. I'm just confident in who God has made me. And I'm confident. That's it. I'm just a confident man of who God has put into me and what God has made me. So there is no better Steve than me. And I know that. I don't need anyone now to remind me of that. I can pat my own self on the back and say, boy, you're tough. You're good. You got this thing going on. So that's what we wanted to do with our men. We want to get our men to the point that they're strong enough to stand for themselves, excuse me, and know who they are in the kingdom. So what does it take to be a king, considered a king? Man, I tell you what, it takes resilience these days. It takes a lot to be a kingdom man. It is not for the faint. I think I talked about that once before. It is not for the faint. You've got to have courage in this season to become a kingdom man. So it takes courage, it takes strength, it takes resilience, and it takes patience. And we know patience is one of those things you don't have to ask for because it comes with the territory, for lack of a better word. Hey, tribulation worketh patience, right? And so we don't ask for patience. We just act, we know that tribulation is going to work that. But I also know that all things are working together for the good of them that love the Lord. And we can't forget the ending of that. And told to those that are the called according to God's purpose. And so when I know that I'm called to God's purpose, let the winds blow, let the rain descend. It doesn't matter, because when it's all over, I'm gonna be like that palm tree. Have you ever watched a palm tree? Those of you that have lived in Florida or have been to Florida, you can have. We've seen these serious storms come through Florida, but have you ever seen a palm tree turned over? Very seldomly, if ever, that palm tree. And the thing about it is because its root is so deep. That's what I researched. I researched and found out that palm trees, man, the root on that thing goes down so deep that no matter the storm, no matter what's going on, it is kind of like when the storm is open, that palm tree waves its hands again and it's back up. It bows in the storm. Oh boy, now I just got a revelation there. It bows in the storm. It doesn't fall over in the storm, but it just bows in the storm. There's my sister-in-law. Hey, Miss Brenda Walker, thank you for joining. But it bows in the storm because it's resilient. It's not going to give up. It's not going to faint. Don't grow weary men in well doing, because in due season we will reap if we faint not. So there is a cry, if you will, going out for kingdom men. Man, that's good. There's a cry going out for men to take their rightful place, for men to be kingdom men. What do I mean by that? There's a cry. We hear it in the chaos of our culture. All you've got to do is turn on the news. Really, you don't even have to turn on the news anymore. Just ride, just go. And we see the chaos. We see the magnitude that is going on. And I just believe that that's because these are men that are thriving for attention. They want attention. And so in order to get attention, they go out and they do crazy things, things that's, uncharacteristic of a kingdom man. But I believe that they're vowing for attention. I believe that someone needs to grab that man. And I've heard my leaders say this many times. I wish that we can be in some of those places and just get hold of some of these men that think they have to be a gang members, or they think they have to be this, or because what's going to happen? Listen, the prison is full of kingdom men, unfortunately. And what do I mean by that? I mean, these are men that got distracted. I talked about that on Elder Hines' show the other day. They got distracted. They got pulled off course. Scripture tells us, you did run well. Who hindered you, or what hindered you, or what pulled you off course? No one wakes up in the morning and wants to be in prison, or wants to be I don't think so. I believe this is just something that comes with society. It comes with our culture. It comes with not having people to speak into our lives and to correct us. And unfortunately, again, the majority of our homes now are single women trying to raise men. And women, I love you. Single women, I love you. You are doing an awesome job. But I must remind you that you cannot be both mom and dad. Unfortunately, you cannot. It takes a man to raise a man. I've learned that over the years. It takes a man. Women, again, not to take anything, because again, you are just bad like that. I celebrate you. I've come from a single home, and I understand the what goes into it. My mom taught me some great lessons. I mean, my mom taught me great skill sets in taking care of myself. And I'm gonna hone in on this because it just kind of came into my spirit. But she taught me how to have good hygienes, how to be well groomed, how to take care of myself. And so, yeah, and I passed that on to my son. I remember something extremely funny. He's gonna get me for this, but I remember, ladies, anybody that's got young boys, man, they come in, they take them shoes off, boy, and that shoe lights up the whole house. And we used to throw that thing outside, like, get that shoe out of here. They'd be new shoes, but I'm like, you know what? If you don't do better to take care of them feet, we're just going, every pair of shoes you got gonna go outside. We throwing them away. But what I was doing is I was teaching him great hygiene, how to take care of himself. My mom taught me this years ago. I'm giving you some good nuggets here. She taught me, as a man, several things that you need to do. And I'm talking about the kingdom man, to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. One, always keep your hair cut and groomed. Bam, that's number one. The next thing, take care of your mouth. Make sure your teeth are healthy. Make sure your mouth is healthy. And then always have on nice shoes. How about that? Because a man that has on nice shoes grabs your attention every time. And with that, you can put on anything. You can wear jeans, you can wear slacks, you can wear a suit. But if you're groomed, your hair is groomed, you've got your mouth taken care of, and you can smile when you want to smile, and you got on nice shoes, and you smell good. Listen, my wife tells me, baby, you smell good. And listen, I do it for her. I do it for me, and I do it for her. I don't do it for anybody else. I don't need any special being a married man. Hello. So I do it for my baby. I take care of myself, but I want her to be comfortable being close to me. And she does all the time. She's always right up under my arm. So I love that. And she loves that. So that's another caring aspect that we must make sure that we teach our men on how to groom themselves. But there's a cry. I want to go back to that. There's a cry going out in chaos. To hear it is chaos. The cry is coming from our homes. It's coming from our community. There's a cry going out in our homes to have kingdom men there to help raise our young men and our young women. Our young women need a father figure in their life to tell them who they are. To that father figure that for the when they need to go to the junior ball or whatever, that father figure is there to teach them and to help groom them as well too. As a matter of fact, I heard a great man and woman of God talking about this before, that when they first went out, there's my nephew. What's up, nephew? Love you, sir. So good to see you. But the first time that his daughter was ever introduced to going to dinner, and a man opened a door for her and dinner, he did it himself. So the father, I think the young lady, I think he told me his daughter was maybe 13 or 14. Man, he told her to get dressed. He says, I'm taking you out on a date. And he took her to a 5-star restaurant. They pulled up. He did valet parking. They opened the door for her. He opened every door leading into the restaurant. When he got to the table, he pulled back the chair for her. He ordered for her. See, that's royalty. He's teaching her already. You don't have to accept anything less than this. Uh-oh, man, you got to be careful now. Watch out. But that's what he was teaching. He was teaching that you deserve the best. And I want our kingdom men to know you are the best. And so give your best. Don't give anything less. Be great. You are the greatest. And Muhammad Ali, he was, one of the greatest, and he knew it and he displayed it. But one thing about him, he could bag up what he said. Can we bag up what we say, man? Selah. So we're looking for men to take their rightful place in culture, because again, there's a cry going out. There's a cry in the school system going out for kingdom men. That's why we have so many young men being expelled and situations going on. I mean, listen, guys, we got detectors in our school system now. Where did that come from? I mean, the violence in our school system is because we are sending our young men to school for our school to train them on how to be men. That's not what the school system is for. The school system is to educate them, which is another great tool that a kingdom man needs. A kingdom man needs to be educated so that you can run your own business, so that God can give you your own. We don't have to work for anybody else. A kingdom man can run his own kingdom. That's what I gave you earlier about the basilia. That's a man that has an authority and has rule. So our neighborhood needs kingdom men. Our neighborhood needs a kingdom man there so that we can keep our neighborhood safe, so that our children can go outside and our children can feel comfortable playing in the streets and in our community. So the community is crying out for, the states are crying out. Government is crying out for kingdom men. Hey, if you haven't looked at the political arena lately, man, I mean, we need kingdom men in area aspect of the government. And so we're raising up. We've got some young men, even in our ministry, that we're raising up that I see will be the next Barack Obama or the next whomever, the Martin Luther Kings, and so on and so on and so on. So who's next? Who's going to take up this mantle that we're talking about? Who's the next Elijah? Who are we passing this on to? We've got to raise up our men to take on the next mantle. So in this year long, just look at the culture and the chaos that's going on, the casualties that we're dealing with as it resulting from the absence of kingdom men. So kingdom men, we have to understand that what our purpose is. So the question is, what does it take to be considered a king's man? A kingdom man. We have to understand what our purpose is. What is our purpose? We have to understand that on this earth. I made my leader yesterday said something so powerful, man, and I retweeted it on my social media yesterday. But he said this: cooperate with God's plan. Oh man, that is so good. You cooperate with God's plan. God has a plan for us, and if we just cooperate with God's plan, God will take us. I mean, the skies is the limit. I have not seen, ears have not heard the things that God has prepared for us. And so Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, hey, I know the thoughts and the plans that I have toward you. I love it in the Message Bible. The Message Bible, Jeremiah 29:11 says this: I know what I'm doing. I have it all planned out, plans to take care of you and not to harm you, to give you an expected end. And isn't that just like God? He's always giving. So his plan is to give us an expected end. So what that tells me, we've got to get in position. Ah, that's great. We've got to get in position. So cooperate with God's plan. In order to do that, then we have to get in position. We have to cultivate God's plan in our life. Man, you can't just say, hey, this is what God has, and then we sit on the dock of the bay wasting time. No, we've got to cultivate that. We've got to study. We've got to read. We've got to research. We've got to go back to school. We've got to do all of these things to cultivate. Because what does the word cultivate mean? It means prepare for usage. The word cultivate means to prepare for usage. So, man, listen, my time is almost up. I see it coming, but I just wanted to give a foundation on to show today to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about in the upcoming shows. I really thank you guys for joining in tonight. It's been my pleasure. My pleasure to talk with you guys tonight. So keep these dates in mind. So the next date for Under Construction is going to be September the 4th. Did you get that? Next program. Thank you, Alan. Monday, September the 4th at 7 p.m. So you don't want to miss it. I'm going to have a great guest on with us. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You're going to have to join in. You're going to have to tune in to see who that's going to be. But listen, we are in an open heaven. I just believe that we are under an open heaven. And if we can get men to take their rightful place, if we can get men to know who they are and to whom they are, and we can prepare them and we can stop the foolishness that's going on that say all men are dogs and they're no good, that is absolutely absurd. God did not create anything like that. Everything that God created, he stepped back and said, that is good and very good. And I told you earlier, in the beginning, God created. When he created, he said, let us make man. And we're going to make him in our image and in our likeness. We're going to give him dominion. We're going to give him authority. He's going to rule. He's going to reign. But the problem is we're allowing that to go away. We're allowing things to rule over us. And we forget that all power is in heaven has been given unto us. All authority. Whatsoever we bind on earth is already bound in heaven. Whatsoever we loose on earth is loosed. And so it's already ours. I see God standing on the portals of heaven, just waiting to release substance to us. But we have to line up to the will of God. That's all he's waiting for. We say we're waiting on God. Listen, it's time to stop praying and it's time to put action behind our prayers. I'm going to end with that. That was good. It's time to stop praying and it's time for us to put action behind our prayers, because faith without works is what? Dead. And so let's get to work, brothers. Women, I love you. I appreciate you. You're going to hear some more coming up in the next show. I'm excited about it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of those that took out your time tonight to join Pastor Steve. Again, I'm your host. I love you. Till we meet again. Peace, peace, peace. And be careful what you say. Be careful what you do. Somebody's always watching you. We will be back on September the 4th. Alan, take us out of here, please.